Blessed love and peace. So we got something for today. Does it look like I just woke up? Does it look like I'm on a junk food hangover? Does it look like I ain't done the dean today or the yeah. Alright. Yeah, but without getting too much explanation, whatever, it is what it is, and this is what we gotta share. It's also we got sleep. Oh, that's not even sleep, that's crust. You ain't got no sleep in you, you got crust, man. What's going on? Alright. Oh, D. You know it's so pretty. You it's so pretty. Alright, we jokey. We gotta share. It's not that like gritty. It's graphic though. To be honest, it's graphic. It's going to be further graphic than what we usually share. We're going to give some parental advisories and otherwise. Now, according to the standards of YouTube, and additionally, is it appropriate for children? Based on what you show children, this is necessary because we addressing that. As you undressing it, we addressing it and such. So, based upon those standards, best believe, please believe, best believe. All right, so but it's graphic. What we talking about is sleepovers, the art of seduction on Imperial Republic courtyards, and short shorts. See if we can remember all this. It might be short shorts before the art of seduction. Or whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's just do it. Let's get it done and concise as possible. We plugged in, so energy is less of a concern. There's still the situation of storage. 15 15 we at, so that should be decent. And let's try to get this somewhat expedient. We do got things to do. If we're not going to be doing the dean on this day at the moment, serious, we gonna have to do some heaven work. All right, here we go. By the grace of the Most High Elohim, known by many names and beyond all names. You heard. All right. We said sleepovers, art of seduction, and short shorts. All right. Sleepovers. So, first thing is this. Actually, a very interesting consideration, that's shared with us just in the past day. Talk about that loudspeaker that go quiet. That loudspeaker that go quiet. This one of them communications. So the joint is this. All kinds of whatever, man. Get yourself right, Get yourself beyond the aesthetic. Sleepovers. Here's interesting, actually very beneficial consideration. Is this. All right, if you think about this actually is like gleaned from an actual recent personal experience, but then it's also contextualized within historic experience and shared experiences that we each have in our own different ways or whatever. So I'm presenting this from that kind of like sequence of reverse engineering, sort of speak of, kind of, sort of. All right. So we begin by saying, if you have a child, it's your child. Maybe it's a younger sibling, maybe it's a cousin, whatever. It's someone who you are trusted with. You got to be responsible, but at the same time, you have to entrust the care and well-being of that child, maybe a youth or whatever, to somebody else in some kind of way for some kind of duration. Whether it's a babysitter, whether it's even just being in the same company of that person, and you're still there too, but you're still like, this person can talk this kind of way, and I don't know if I want this child in that person's presence because I know how that person can act. But that's what we're talking about. Entrusting a child to the care, to the presence, to the company of others. that very sacred duty, trust, um, serious. So those who've had that experience and know some idea what that is. That's what it is. Now, and that's what that is. All right. Now that's one thing. Now, another consideration is entrusting the care of a young sister to the company of other men. Ooh-wee. Now you know what I'm saying now here, because we're talking about, yo, you talk with these brethren, you can deal with these brethren, oh, they funny, oh, they this, that, and the other. When it's just you. But are you gonna be that same way and be that same trusting and be that same comfortable when it's the same brethren, but now you're there with your sister, now you're there with your wife, now you're there with your girlfriend. Oh, you know how they act, you know how the brethren talk, you know what they talk about, you know how they can be this way and that way, you know how they can try people, test, disrespect, make a move and otherwise. Are you going to trust? Even you're still there. You with your sister. You're with your cousin. You're with your wife. But are you still going to trust those brethren and that company of that brethren with that sister? Okay. Now, one consideration is in that trust, in making that decision, is physical trust. Do you trust the brethren to be physically respectful, not to make a move, not to touch, not to make advances undue and otherwise upon the sister? And in addition to that, not to be suggestive, not to be disrespectful, not to be devaluing, dehumanizing, and otherwise. So it's a trust in terms of body integrity. It's a trust in terms of mind integrity. So there's that. Now, how about this one? We're going to flip the script a little bit, or advance the script a little bit. And it's this one. How much are you going to entrust a young brethren, a young man, to the company of sistren? How about that one? Can you trust a brethren to be by himself, perhaps? Or even if you're there, amongst a group of sistren, knowing how the sistren are. You yourself in the company, okay, you can deal with it, this, that, and the other. But you know how the sistren can be. Same thing. And here's the further consideration. Like, some people might say, yeah, whatever. But at the same time, like, maybe something to that. Like, because, again, sistren, one, I'm not going to talk about what brethren do and whatever else, because I think that's well known, basically. So this one's specifically talking about sistren towards brethren. And the same necessity of protecting brethren, including this one right here, from predatory sistren. What are we talking about? Predatory how? Sexual seduction, dressing up in all kind of ways. You got a young brethren, he's a virgin. His mind is like focused on his task, on his deen and otherwise. Am I saying that a lot? Okay. So he's still distant from all of the corruption and the normalization of corruption. But then in the company of sistren, they ain't got to say nothing. They looking hoody. And his mind is naturally going to go, what up? So are you going to trust the brethren, even just to be in the company, extended company of the sistren, to be at the spot for an hour, a couple hours, or whatever, knowing there's no like reading a book and immersing your mind. Oh, just go read this book. No, the music's bumping. You're not gonna be able to like concentrate too much on anything else, and it's just gonna be the eyes exposed to the energies, the sexual energies. How much are you going to trust brethren in that experience? Okay, so spoken of that, how do we describe further? All right, that's one way of sistren being predatory. What's another way? And that's all. That's primarily the physical, the visual, particularly. The ear, the audible. A woman's voice. Come on now. Sense, in terms of smell, aroma, kind of sort of lightweight. But the visual particularly, and then also the auditory. Now, that's one type of thing, the sexual seduction. But then we also get into what women talk about when they at this. particularly women who are considerably corrupted. And when we say considerably corrupted, that doesn't mean being prostitutes walking the streets. We're talking about women who have knowledge about the world. How about that? That's corruption right there. Know how the game works. That's corruption right there. Working to be bosses in the game. That's corruption right there. So we're talking about women who could be even just conservatively dressed, but they talk about things, and they talk about enslavement, and they're talking about luring kinfolk into subjugation, and additionally by insecurities and innuendos and other types of misleading things, because that's the nature of the game, that's the nature of being a boss, that's the nature of the corruption. And women have uncanny capabilities in that corruption, particularly from young brethren. So the young brethren give the attention because she's pretty. But what she's saying is enslavement, sowing seeds of insecurity, doubt, distraction, that manifests somewhat at that moment, but then further later on, and shape how the brethren thinks and how the brethren questions things, and otherwise. So that's the point I'm getting to with this one. And we're talking about, this is supposed to be about sleepovers. We're getting there, but what we're talking about is just, particularly, again, plain and simple. This is a plain and simple way of describing it. Understanding, recognizing that men have a strength over the body of a woman. A lot of what the concerns are is what a man does with a woman's body, and how much we entrust women to the company of other men based upon men's strength over a woman's body. Violation of a woman's body. In the same way, we need the same concerns, discipline, safety of women's control over men's minds. Serious. Women have strength over men's minds. Plain and simple, 100%, no cap, facts. And the men who don't acknowledge that, admit that, are caught up in their own egos, and that's its example right there. The denial is evidence. When women can get in a man's mind, para, are you getting these onomatopoeias? So just like we're very when we're being righteous and proper, where we have concerns about the safety of a woman's body. It's amidst the company of the man. We have to be mindful and concerned about the safety of a man's mind amidst the company of sistren, predatory sistren. Seduction, outright seduction, is one of those. But then also, given today's circumstances of women being quote unquote empowered and ambitious and boss-like, being a boss means putting others down, being recruiting others to be subordinates, recruiting them to be on their team, not as teammates, but as servants. So women draw in that ambitious women, boss mentality women, are continually recruiting men to bow down and do whatever that woman wants or them women want. So how much we just be mindful of how much we trust brethren, particularly the minds of brethren within the company of women. The same way as we would a woman's body amidst the company of brethren. It's beneficial to recognize that. So now when we're talking about sleepovers, it's somewhat connected, because that's one of the examples of how parents relinquish oversight, custody, and otherwise of a child to the company of others, sleepovers. Now, there are many cultures. There ain't no way at all, whatever, children will be doing any sleepover at anybody else's spot, because it is known. It's not an indictment on any other particular family or whatever, but it's just a recognition of that opening gates of corruption Um, Now, I grew up with sleepovers. That's just the culture I grew up in. But it's only in becoming an adult, becoming a man, that even just like, wow, people don't do sleepovers. Like it's not even a question not to do it. Huh? What? Why? What's going on? Oh, because when a child is left to the company of others, I mean, babysitters, that's one thing. And oftentimes the same culture, the babysitters are family members, cousins, uncles, somebody you know, somebody you have an intergeneral relationship with, somebody who has, it's not somebody who's trusted and you did a background check or whatever else and they don't have any criminal record. It's people who have a vested interest in the well-being and progression of the entirety of a child's life. They have a stake in that child's life. And it's based upon that stake in the child's life that there's an entrustment into to caring for that child. Um, so the sleepovers are like, it's just a gate towards corruption, and it's not nothing happening at any point particularly, but it at the very least what it's doing is establishing a gap between the relationship of a parent and the child, because whenever the child is outside of um, the immediate supervision of a parent, the parent cannot state experientially what is happening with that child, um, and thus there is doubt. And the further the child is away from the parent, the further the nature of that doubt is. If it's when it's taking the child to school, okay, you're trusting to the teachers, this and the other. There's other people, and additionally, so there's a further assurities, and there's a further purpose involved. When it's a sleepover, I mean, it's basically recreational. It's not a necessity usually. For many parents, it's a huge break because parents are tirelessly working, if that's a thing, tirelessly toiling, striving to put food on the table and optimize the opportunities for that child within society. And so, very often, parents are fatigued, and having just a relief of just like a breather, of taking a break, and child being at somebody else's house, somebody else's care. It can be valuable. That's understood, and the child gets socialized or whatever else. So there are benefits with that. However, again, it is that sleepover culture that lends itself to just huge. I mean, there's a huge spectrum of corruption. It's normalization of that kind of wilderness, that Babylon wilderness, and by that I mean like those closed doors, where there's nobody, there's no views, because let's do this, let's do that. You don't know what the parental supervision is per se. You might know the parents, this and that, but you don't know everything that's going on as a parent. Um, you don't know what houses they go to once they're at that house, particularly as a sleepover. You don't know what they're doing through the night. You don't know who else is going to be there, per se. And it's that environment that, again, it goes into the other things, like the other parties, the 7 minutes in heaven, being locked in the closet, spin the bottle, all these other joints that happen outside the immediate supervision, and particularly with sleepovers, particularly when it's a group of people, or sleepovers, particularly when they say, oh, when it's schoolmates, oh, we're having so and so, da da da, come over, da da da, and then becomes, okay, yo, we're bored. Oh, does parents have any alcohol? Oh yeah, da da da. Oh, there that goes. And then, oh, let's play a game. Oh, okay. I dare you to do this. Oh, they did it. And then, yo, there it is. And it just goes on from there. So, sleepovers challenge. It's entrusting the care of children to the company of others, and not knowing directly what's happening. And how that same basic principle applies towards even just young children, or young adults, children of Elohim, young men, young women in the company of others, even when being with young men and young women amongst other adults, grown adults, predatory adults, and otherwise. So that's basically the joint. That's how pizzazz is going to be for the moment. We talk about second joint, which is we said Art of Seduction on the Imperial Republic Courtyards. Is that the one? Okay. So, all right. What we're talking about here is like again that practice of sistering, and we're not putting any blame. We're just speaking to conditions, cause and effect, um, recognizing ultimately for every man, it's a man's fault. The man is to blame himself. But at the same time, it's beneficial for men to be knowledgeable and recognizing what's happening, and work accordingly. Adam, at the end of the day, has to blame himself for eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Regardless of what his wife tells him and communicates to him, it's his own fault. It's our own fault. So, but at the same time, like, yo, let's look at what just happened, and like, all that's knowledge itself, but such is life. So, the Art of Seduction on the Imperial Republic Courtyards. Recognize this: when a woman, women, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, amazing, miraculous, beautiful, energy, fertility, the nature of life, like bubbling, nasty nice. Yeah, well, all right. So there's that. And that's about the age when women tend to like arrive at like full development, like maturity in terms of bodily development and bodily growth. So just like this, that's when the popping is getting at the peak of popping. We at the peak of popping. 17, 18 years old, 19 years old. Right there. Then you got brethren who are nearing that peak of popping too. Got a lot of things affecting the mind, a lot of things influencing the mind, and then you got a courtyard of sleepovers. How about that? Segues. And there's all types of opportunities. There's all types of guidances. There's all types of invitations. Now, the basics of it is this. When women get the attention of men, the man is distracted from, generally speaking, from his path. I mean, his path includes marriage, and so that's part of it. But in terms of his studies, book learning, and additionally, he's either looking at the book or he's looking at the bodies. We're saying bodies a positive way. The living bodies. When he's looking at the women's bodies, he's taking attention and concentration away from his studies and his craft to do his livelihood in this life, to support himself, his family, his community in this life, and he's giving attention to the sistren and getting thoughts, ideas, and all that. Now, when he gives the attention to the sistren, what we understand as brethren, what those of I and I understand as brethren as much as we can, is that when a brethren gives his attention to a woman, he gets a certain type of energy. He's feeling her energy, particularly her sexual energy. It's intoxicating. It's necessary. It's procreation. And at the same time, as we understand it, the sistren is energized from his attention, by getting his attention. And I mean, you can feel it. You feel the vibration. You feel like the tingles and everything else like that. That's evidence. Now, the thing about it, what we understand is this. Like I said, Brendan takes his attention away from the books and honing his craft. His ability to, like, what was I saying? What was you talking about? What does that mean again? I know you said it before, but nah. I mean, I just got, what you expect. So his attention is taken away from his craft and is put to the woman. And the woman and getting his attention. Haha. She could be doing nothing. She's just sitting there reading. She ain't got to do nothing. She ain't got to do nothing. Sitting there reading whatever else. But when she gets his attention, she is energized. And she has that option of applying that energy, her own enhanced concentration. Her concentration is getting further strengthened from his attention. That's what he's given her at that moment. And she can apply that to learning that craft. Oh, you want to know what that means? This is what that means. Badab. It says right here. Badab. And if she's feeling like, she hungover, junk food hungover, alcohol hungover, her energy is low, her concentration is low, dress up in the pretty, go to the hangout spot, go to the lounge spot, go to the library spot, find some brethren that she can get some quiet attention from, and get a pick-me-up and apply some energy to study for that quiz later on that afternoon. Blah, blah. That's the game, as much as we understand it by the grace of the Most High. So when Sistren are showing that sexual energy, Sistren are harvesting attention and concentration and applying that to the craft, learning that and getting a comparative advantage, so that when the quiz comes, the brand's like, yo, I saw so-and-so yesterday, she was wearing that such and such yesterday. What was that quiz about? We had a quiz today? Oh, man. I forgot all about that. All right, I'm just going to have to make it up somehow. Meanwhile, the Sistren's like, 100%. Grades come out for the semester. I was tripping this semester, man. We're going to have to like da-da-da-da. Sister, here's your scholarship that you didn't even know about. That's available for those who are academic excellence. Deans, this, that, and the other. List, president list, dean's list, honor roll. Qualification for internships, and additionally, based on scores. Enrollment at universities, 60% women, 70% women, 30% brethren, 20% brethren. That's no hate. That's no shade. Is that the actuality, cause and effect, and conditions? That's what we're talking about. So that's the basics of it. So there's that. All right. Now we're talking about short shorts. Is that with artist seduction? I think that's enough. Just the basic mathematics is that when a man gives a woman his attention, he's taking it away from his studies and his craft and his livelihood, and applying it to her. And what he gets is just a tingle, that just like intoxication. It's euphoria. Again, like when people talk about the bloodstream, like the blood flows to the innards and away from the extremities, and he just becomes a docile giant. Blah blah hoo, hoo, hoo. And what happens to Sister? She's energized. She's concentrated. She's staying on focus, on task. Now the thing is, for the woman, that might provide career advantages. I mean, she gets the A's, she gets the marks, she gets the scores and the opportunities in terms of academics and career. But at the same time, is that all she wants in this life? Is that all she needs in this life? No, she needs some. Not about she gotta have it. It's about there's gotta be a song. She needs some love and affection. She needs a commitment. She needs husband. She needs relationship. She needs partnership. So she might be getting those marks and everything, but at the same time, particularly in resorting to those tactics intentionally and severely, it's detracting from her efforts, her attention, her concentration from healthy relationship, because she becomes increasingly conditioned towards manipulating men. Oh, here comes another simpleton. And she's at her peak of popping. It ain't no thing for her to get some attention. She gets abundance of attention. There's only so much honor roll you can get. The grade only goes up to 100%, and she's got a bank of 2,000 at the ready. That's how much attention she's got. That's how much she's ready. Graduate school, PhD, whatever. Come on, what else you got? She's popping right now, but she's not going to be popping forever. And if what she learns is that game, how to get attention, even when getting the PhD, and additionally, when she's not popping as much 10 years later, then what? She's not getting attention from brethren. Then what? How does she keep on studying and learning and get concentration when she's not getting that attention? Start showing further and further. Even then, what else? She's running out of stuff now, 10 years later. Her energy's not as strong and popping as it was at 17, 18 years old. She's got the degrees. Ain't so much. There's only so much degrees help in this life. Like sometimes at some point, you got to go further. There's only so much she can undress and seduce brethren at some point, and get the dividends. There's a diminishing returns. Diminishing returns of scale, whatever that is. You don't get as much later on. So, but she need to concentrate for this project. She need to concentrate for this presentation for clients. 10 years later, how's she gonna get that concentration? She can't just say, but I have a PhD. And that's not the point, We're hiring you. We're paying you by the hour to solve our problem. Do your thing, Miss Brilliant Genius. What's going on? We heard about you. You got skills. What's going on? But she can't concentrate. Her energy's low. The brethren ain't giving it to her as it used to be 10 years ago at the Imperial Republic courtyard. What does she do? So that's what she's learned on how to get that attention. And additionally, trouble. So that's for Cicerone as well. You might get quick advances at 18, 19 years old. But when that's what you learn how to get it from, or that's what you learn and how to get it by that methodology, sexual seduction, there's limitations, calculus, curves, asymptotes. So what's the solution in that respect? Healthy moderation, modesty, humbleness, learning how to glean, to receive. You can even say harness the attention of men in an increasingly humble way, an increasingly healthy way, an increasingly committed way. So it's not just getting all attention from 20 brethren at the hangout spot for an hour to get an exam. Perhaps it's just getting attention of a few brethren at the student organization that's preparing for continual life, relationships, rituals. And there's only a few brethren there. And they give modest attention, healthy, committed, like, okay, well, we plan to see each other for the rest of life kind of attention. So it's not going to be enough for you to get that A on the next midterm or finish that paper in and of itself. But it's enough to do decent. And then you get attention of one brethren who gives you a lot of attention. Well, all right. Now the attention he gives you might be enough for 80% on that exam or for the but at that point you don't even need high scores because you have a relationship and commitment, and now it's a mutuality. You got to give him some attention because he needs some support. Maybe he needs some home cooking, some healthy food to keep his energy up and strong and balanced to complete his tasks, his craft, and work in partnership. So that's some of what we're talking about in terms of that art of seduction. There's a necessity within the seduction. We got this procreation thing in this life. Let me tell it. I'm still learning. Hey, gray hair professor, learning. He's professing. I don't know if we call him a professor. Certainly not tenured, we should say. Anyways, somewhat untenable, I should say as well. Indeed. All right, continuing on. That's the art of seduction. So short shorts. All right, here's where we get into the graphic. What's the purpose of this? Energy, nature of the seduction, literacy, observation of what is being going on. What is being going on right now? Is that what Marvin Gaye sing about? What's being going on? All right. Peace and blessings. Blessed memory. Blessed memory. Peace and blessings. Marvin Gaye. All right. Yeah, short shorts. This is purposeful. We're going to get graphic. Is there purpose in the graphic? Yes, there is actually. And particularly because this is what's happening right now. So we're basically like we're removing the clothing to show what's happening is what we're doing. But it's happening. It's being done. There's just a little veneer, and we're removing that veneer, and that makes it graphic. But at the same time, it reveals what's going on, because what's going on is manipulating people even with that veneer. So that's what we're doing. That's the nature of the graphic of what we're presenting right here. Short shorts. So first of all, short shorts is the technique of the seduction, and this, I had to figure this out recently in the recent years, and I don't know how much further frequent it's being done, like as a thing these days, but this is something I personally observe as I see beautiful, attractive young sisters. It's this thing of wearing sweatshirts or whatever, particularly amidst this type of weather, autumn, spring. It's moderate. It avails itself to wearing a number of different things, and the thing is wearing like a sweatshirt or whatever else, comparatively casual, and then wearing short shorts. So the legs are all types of exposure, and the legs, a woman's legs, whoa dee. But everything else is covered. So the emphasis is on her direct flesh, that skin, tight thighs, and that's not the point of getting graphic. That's not what I do. So I have to be mindful, like not to get intoxicated about this. So, but it's just that's the technique of seduction is wearing, like, cover up everything else like that, but the legs is just on, let's say, on fleek. I know that's corny, but still, like, on point. And that's the draw. That's where women are drawing the attention of men onto the legs, because that's where men are trying to go. So that's obvious. But here's one thing that is recognized recently amongst myself personally, is that one of the reasons why particularly why that's effective, aside from just seeing sister on the street or whatever else, is that when brethren are in a closed environment, indoors, desks, tables, and additionally, there happens to be just certain situations and positions and angles where the legs are presented in an increasingly subtle and increasingly intensified way. So let's see if I can say this plainly. In the classroom, like sitting in the classroom, everybody's supposed to be looking at the professor, whatever. And this is at university. This is at high school. Lightweight, this maybe can be at middle school, but this is particularly when women are starting to like be distinctive in terms of bodily form, getting some shape and some curves and some thickness and everything else like that, when things are starting to pop. So particularly high school and university level. So when having classroom, desks are lined up, and additionally, brethren can see in the periphery other students, and additionally, and so everything's all proper and everything above the tables, but people can still see generally what's happening under the tables in the immediate vicinity. So rather than just wearing a thing that's exposing, that's going to distract the professor and everything else like that from doing the professor's job and helping the students with their craft, everything is very, very humble or very modest. Hardly any skin showing or anything, no shape, no form, no bosom, whatever. It's all covered very, very thoroughly. It's just the legs. And that's covered generally by the tables, except for the brethren that are right there. And when the brethren are right there and the legs are exposed and everything else is covered, that just brings further attention to the legs. So just recognizing as a technique of the seduction, very effective, what we observe. And there are different types of shorts as well, and particularly the shorts that when sitting down, right up high on a woman's thighs, even getting into the buttocks area, that's facts. And that becomes increasingly seductive, because once the brethren sees that, particularly when everybody's quiet and maybe people are paying attention to the professor, we already read it, so I already know what he's talking about. I have to listen. He don't be saying nothing anyways. She don't be saying nothing anyways. Brother just sitting there, just trying to be polite. He's showing he's in class or whatever. He's already got the notes, whatever. He already got this. He's on the A for class. What else is there to do? Can't do device. That's too obvious. But ooh, did you see so and so wearing that so and so? She been working out. But it's not like steel hard. It's like firm and soft. Ooh wee. We should invite her to that party. These are not the hood sirens. These are just the street sirens, the regular sirens. The thing is, they're not even the invisible sirens because they're not even riding by. Ooh, this not fast food, this junk food hangover. How'd it be? Indeed. Anyways, so that's what we observe about the Shorts game. Is how it's covered up. It's comparatively subtle when being in that kind of setting, a classroom or again other places where people are congregating, whatever. But it's when it's the angles, and it's like the concentrated exposure to the brethren in that immediate vicinity, and like it's right there, and it's like it don't take much of an imagination, and it's a whole lot of distraction, intoxication, and euphoria. Just like, ooh, yo, serious, no, ooh, whoa. And all of a sudden, that A that brother was riding, all of a sudden, how that turned into a B, or that turned into a C. Just 2 weeks of the semester left, because, yo, end of the semester party, yo, she gotta come through. How'd you do in that class? Oh, got an A. Ooh, how'd you do that? Everybody else failed the final. All right. That's not the extent of it either. Am I going to get further graphic in this point? You know, because it is further. That's one technique. I'm gonna get graphic here. Yeah, and there's reasons for this as well. There's a purpose for this. As I mentioned before, there's a veneer, and I'm showing what's being done by like removing that veneer so that it's seen. And we have to be careful about like our feigned rationales or whatever else, but the whole thing is not the most favorable topic to be discussing in like a public way, and particularly amongst youngsters, but particularly because youngsters are already being exposed to this. We're calling it out, and calling it out in like a very candid way, because rather than sugarcoating or whatever, students know like what's going on, and students know when adults are actually speaking to it. And when adults don't speak to that, then students observe a fear, a limitation, a weakness within the adults to be able to address and even not acknowledge what's going on. And yes, there is that concern, there is that susceptibility of inducing or introducing conditions and corruptions to students who don't have as much knowledge or whatever else. There is that susceptibility, there is that concern as well. However, when practices are being done in a very pervasive way, and there are extremely few adults, leaders, authority figures who are speaking to it, then the children become further discouraged and distrusting, because they see the weakness and the fears within those who claim to be leaders and authorities. So at some point, like we have to do some plain talk. And additionally, so people can say I'm self-elected, self-appointed, selfies. What's new today? Anyways, here we go. What am I talking about? I'm giving a personal experience, and then relate this to another technique of seduction, and then we can wrap this up. Might actually be underneath an hour at this moment. Wow. All right, let's see. Let's not get too excited before the actuality. Anyway. All right. So personal experience. There was occasion in my younger days when I had the occasion of being with some friends, and these are friends that are comparatively new to me. Many kinfolk are from different countries, so we're meeting each other for the first occasion, getting to know each other, whatever else. And so there's a particular anecdote where I'm driving a vehicle, and the vehicle is full with the kinfolk, and most of the kinfolk are their sister, attractive sister. And one of the sistren, who is sitting in the passenger seat next to me, is wearing short shorts. And she's got nice form, like a nice, I'm just going to be somewhat graphic here, nice thickness and additionally. And it's just, ooh, I got to drive. But here's the thing about it. It wasn't just that. it wasn't just how attractive she is, her skin tone, the thickness of her thighs because she was wearing short shorts. It wasn't just the thickness of her skies. How about that? That's how we get on our concentration. Not the thickness of her thighs, or anything like she might have had like a short top or whatever, short top, tank top or whatever else. So, but I mean, I'm in my youth at that point. See attractive women all the time, get accustomed to that. So still get intoxicated, but still accustomed. So I can still drive. But the thing, particularly on this occasion, was that yo, still to this day, something. It was like there was a heater. It was like there was a heat. There was an energy, like a very palpable, actual energy that's coming from her pelvis, like from her vagina. And I don't, again, it's graphic, and like that might sound whatever, but it was like a concentrated heat, like a power with it. And she was just sitting there, and it was just like reverberating, like. And again, the way I describe it is that if you know what like a heater is, like a space heater or whatever, and like around the room it's comparatively cold, but then you get into that to the heater, it's like, oh, here's a heater, okay. You feel that differentiation of temperature and like intensity. You feel that heat. That's what it is. Like the rest of the vehicle is just comparatively ordinary, whatever. But like I feel this heat. Like, what is summer? What you got a heater on for? That's what it was, and I just like, ooh, what is that? So now I might be telling to myself like, better be like, yo, we know all about that. It's all over. But for me, like that was in my 20s or whatever. Um, that was a very unique first experience of like just feeling a woman's sexual power beyond just her physical attraction, but just like an energy, like a very intense, palpable phenomenon, elemental phenomenon beyond just like physical attraction. So that begins a further awareness about the power of women, like the womb of a woman. What actually goes on, the metaphysics, the metaphysical of a woman, and the metaphysical of a man. And the womb of a woman, as it said in Sikhi, the only thing beyond the womb of woman is God. And so recognizing like this is where life is introduced into this universe and cultivated and nurtured before being birthed. Powerful. What you talking about? What you mean you just finding out about power? What? You was sleeping. Same thing for a man in his seed. Cultivating, accumulating his seed. Powerful. Do women feel that? Please believe. When he's in must and additionally, ooh, how do I know? Hoodie, I'm a man. I can only know what a man knows. But I can also see reaction. So, anyways, now recognizing that like the power from the pelvis of a woman, from her womb to her vagina, drawing in the man, from all distances, cultural, linguistic, and otherwise. Who would do that? All right, let me get sober up right now. This ain't no blessing for some water, but we got it right here. If we need some further healing, what is that? The after hangover, they have the cure for hangover. Anyways, water. Got some greens on the stove. Yeah, it's from yesterday, but it's okay. We'll see what happens. Anyways, God willing. So anyways, again, the power from the pelvis is just what we're talking about now. And then when that is complemented, when that is added or combined with the short shorts, it's extremely powerful. And those are the conditions that kinfolk are dealing with, brethren and sistren, for causing distraction and gaining attention, and how that affects conditions for kinfolk at that moment, but then also in the long term. So all the reasons why I share that is because another technique of seduction that is observed is, and this is particularly in the lounge situation, is when kinfolk are sitting in lounges and put their feet up, because that is increasingly suggestive. Um, Brethren do that, sistren do that. When brethren do that, that's further uncouth for other brethren. Right? First of all, if the legs are up, you're showing the bottoms of your feet. That's disrespectful. That's just saying, yo, kiss my foot, kiss my feet, be at my feet. That's an ancient thing. Kinfolk go to the king and kiss the feet of the king. Go to India, kiss the feet of the parents. It's a signal of subordination, subjugation, loyalty, allegiance, and further, formal and informal, family and society. So to show your feet to somebody, particularly the bottom of the feet, yo, all types of disrespect. Um, and when you're trying to seduce somebody, when sisters are trying to seduce somebody and lifting up the legs, it is very suggestive. It is very attractive in terms of just physical copulation, and men that can be disciplined. And at the same time, it's very unattractive because, again, one, you're showing the bottom of the feet, and it's like, yo, here's the vagina, but then at the same time, here's the bottom of the feet. So you can have the vagina as long as you kiss the bottom of the feet. For some brethren, be like, oh, okay. For some brethren, be like, yo, get on with that. Go someplace. I'm not trying to see that. So it's just disrespectful to others as well as to oneself. And the other thing is, even without the whole notion of kissing feet, but the legs are bent, the knees are bent, so you don't see the bottom of the feet. It's okay. It's just showing the vagina. Even still, like, yo, that's for anybody here, and it's further obvious, and it's attractive. Like a man's a man is naturally attracted to that because that's just primordial procreation. But at the same time, and we'll get to like the a further positive thing, but it's like any brethren in the room sees that, so it's not some exclusive thing, and it's like, if brethren is very like pressed, that it may be further influential. But when a brethren's not pressed, it's just like, I'm not trying to like be in that, because, and by in that I'm talking about in that situation, because like it's like, why not just have a go to the brothel and purchase a prostitute? I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to be all in that. That's a similar situation. Is that extreme? It's very similar. Because yes, it might be sexual stimulation, it might be sexual gratification, whatever else. But that's not the highest thing in life. And sometimes it's difficult for brethren to recognize that, because brethren are, they say, backed up or whatever else, thirsty, whatever. But even that, it's like there's further significance. There's even further joy and happiness than that. So it's a matter of recognizing that. So anyway, just talking about to that technique, and it's pervasive. Again, brethren do that, women do that, and like it's surprising, to be honest, how much the Imperial Republic courtyard provides for that actuality of having couches and lounges and tables and like and having laxed protocols, where like teenagers who are not married with each other are just kind of all types of, now you got a book, so I'm just studying, and it's relaxing. But if you need to like lay down and being in kind of that type of exposure in order to be able to be comfortable and study, like observe, like, how did it get to that? I mean, I know it is like that, like we lie down and watch screens and whatever else, but just recognize like how suggested that it is. And not only that, but when that becomes a necessity of doing that, that's evidence of a less potency of one's own energy, in terms of, if that's what's needed to get the attention, then that's an indication of where the potency, intensity of one's energy and fertility, virility is. I'm trying to focus on the positive, like, note to conclude this joint with. Gotta remember that. This is the third subject, so is it? Short shorts, yeah, okay. Um, pushing the hour thing. The hour thing is less of a concern. That's an aesthetic. The beneficial thing at the moment is to remember that concluding thing of constructive advice and guidance, practical guidance, if I recall correctly. There is something else I can share in terms of like graphic kind of rationales and whatever else. But I think I'm trying to discern how much is that going to affect my ability to recall like the. Well, I'll just for the moment whilst it's here, I'll just share it for the purpose of like further um, speaking to the techniques, because when we speak to the techniques and we inform people of what they're doing and what's being done to them, then people are further knowledgeable and cognizant of that and can be further strengthened and supported and nurtured to be further disciplined and resilient amidst those conditions. So one thing I'm going to speak on is, again, just the nature of the suggestion in a woman's seduction towards a man, particularly again with the short shorts, the revealing of the thighs up to the buttocks. And additionally, when a man is seeing a woman like the bottom of a woman's buttocks from the shorts, and she's just sitting there, and again, you see she has firmness in her thighs. There's a thickness, but it's also soft, and so he just like he doesn't have to stare to feel it. Like it just one glance, and it's like he's filled, and he can think about that for the next 20 minutes, easy. Not think about anything else. He might be looking at something, a screen or a book or whatever, but he's just thinking, yo, I just saw that thigh. She got thighs. Like, it's thick. She got thick thighs, and it's soft, and it's firm, and like I can see the bottom of her buttocks, and like he's just thinking about all types of, and it doesn't, and obviously he's going further into her anatomy in terms of his imagination addition, and it doesn't take much. I wonder what that looks like, and then like do I get this graphic with this? There is a purpose in and of itself, as I already articulated. I did have something I thought about, but I'm gonna speak to the nature of the seduction again. To like, it's not gonna be an elixir, because it's the seduction is purposeful. The power that a woman has over a man is necessary. The ability of a woman to make a man stop thinking and just like be about her is necessary. So we're not alleviating that, but we are articulating this so that brethren and sisters can be further mindful of these conditions, the cause and effect, and have further sobriety. It's not immunity, but sobriety amidst these conditions, because the point is not to cure men from being allured by women. That's not the point. That's very much not the point. But it is a matter of being disciplined and guiding that allure in a healthy and committed way. So based upon that, I'll finish describing this joint, but there's a further purpose to this, a specific tangible purpose of guidance and constructiveness. But for the moment, I'll just again further talk about the short situation, and this is without hate or shade or on any sister or whatever, but just describing very comparatively matter-of-factly as much as possible the conditions. So the brethren's imagination continues on, and he's thinking about her vagina. He's thinking about her being moist, her being ready. He's thinking about tightness and everything else, and just like feeling as much as he can her and her suggestion. She's not saying anything, but she doesn't need to. The way the communication is going, her thighs are saying a significant amount at that point, and it's just the build up, and she can provide further suggestions just by sitting there talking about like the intensity of the pleasure and this, that, and the other, and for him reaching orgasm and ejaculation, and additionally, and like unprecedented and strength and intensity of his orgasm, and additionally. Here's where we're going with that. I remember now. So, okay, fine. There it is. Done. Then what? With all that seduction, and she's been working out, but it's not hard. I mean, her thighs aren't just like steel. It's like firm and soft, but still, ooh, just want to squeeze and like all that. Okay, fine, and that intensifies his attraction. It intensifies his energy, and her vagina is tight and moist, and it's just all time the epitome, the optimum of the pleasures that he can experience, and the sexual intercourse when they get together at some point, whatever, and it's amazing. She has movements, and she's into, and she does everything he could imagine pleasurable, and he has the most intensified orgasm that he's ever had in his life. The stream of the ejaculation is inside of her, but it's just jets, and maybe he even like yells out for the first time. He never did that before. Yo, it's amazing. Wow, it's everything. He was beyond his imagination. All those times he was sitting there in class and just looking at her thighs the entire semester at that party. Yo, it's worth that C in that course. Yo, no, it was worth it. I would have taken a D for that. Yeah, that was amazing. That's the best sex I ever had. Everything, she's everything. Now he might get feelings, he might start to get attached, and like now he's in love or whatever, or he might just say, "Yo, that was nice. All right, peace." Same thing with her, but he can't deny, yo, that was the best he ever had. Okay, then what? On to the next. On to the other firm and soft thighs, maybe of a different complexion, maybe of a different curl, or whatever else. Now he's had that. It could get better. It might not. If he's in conquest mode, okay, he can put that on his notch and continue on. She got the A. All right, cool. Then what? So the point for that is that even like just taking that seduction to its extreme point of culmination, the best ejaculation a man has ever experienced in his life and could even imagine experiencing. Everything leading up to it, just her body, her bosom, everything is just the best it could ever be. She's quiet, attentive, and additionally not too aggressive, but at the same time still very much in it. The best it could ever be. Her vagina is tight, like she's not being a dude's not running up in her or anything. She's like the sense of purity of it. Maybe not innocent, maybe not virginal, but yo, it's tight and she's moist and everything. As I said, it's a movie graphic, but it's like things that you can't fake. Natural, like the best it could be, and like showing it just because long, it could be hours long sessions or session that just culminates in just like that the strongest ejaculation he ever had in life. Then what? All right. Point is this: when a man has that, when a man experiences that, again, he can catch feelings and be like, yo, he never knew things could be that way. It has to be, this has to be something, this has to be something. And he can catch feelings. And she can be like, no, you can see yourself out. No, don't stay the night. No, get out. Yeah, it was decent. Okay, fine, bounce. She could be that. She could be like, oh, no, we're married now. No, you're mine now. Either way. She could be either way of those extremes. Alright, I'm getting to a point, without getting into all the possibilities or whatever else, I'm going to concentrate on articulating the point whilst I think about it. This is the point. Whether he falls in love with her, or whether it's just friends with benefits or whatever, and he continues on, the point is this. When that's it, when that's considered the epitome, and when it's been attained, like life, like, is further questioned, and like, well, what's the meaning? Like, wait, okay, that's it? Like, is that what this whole thing is about? It's just that epitome of experience, and that's it? I'm going somewhere with this. It's not the existential. It's very practical. All right. I'm actually trying to think of a way of segueing into this point, but rather than just thinking segue, I'll just get to the point. When brethren are on the campus, when brethren are at the Imperial Republic courtyard and see all types of sistren, beautiful, amazing, smiling, charismatic, quiet, all types of sistren, beautiful, holy, sacred sistren. Some wearing short shorts, some wearing long dresses, some being modest, some being exhibitionists and otherwise. All the spectrum. When brethren see, and there is a norm, there is a culture of seduction. A game is being played. Sistren are presenting in that way, preparing for that way, for these scenarios of seduction, to get attention and to utilize that attention for concentration. When that is the norm, when that is the culture, and that is the communication, directly and indirectly. The art of seduction can be explicit, but very often the art of seduction is extremely subtle, subliminal. But when that is the norm, and brethren are aware of that, and brethren do the mathematics and say, okay, yeah, I can imagine sex with her is very pleasurable, and I can like anticipate the type of orgasm that I can experience, and the session of physical sexual intimacy with that woman. Okay, yeah, and I'm sure that it's going to be like amazing. Like purchasing some nice herb or some expensive cognac or something like that, and that's just so objectifying. Exactly. That's what's being done. When sistren are presenting in such a way, that's what sistren are offering. A commodity of sex. A service of sex. Amidst all the subtle innuendos and everything else, that's what sistren are offering when presenting in that way. Sistren are offering an orgasm. And communicating what type of orgasm and why the orgasm with that sistren is further favorable than an orgasm with that sistren. And brethren are being kidnapped because brethren's minds, generally speaking, are weaker. And I'll put it this way: women have strength over men's minds, just like men have strength over women's bodies. Women have strength over men's minds. So in many ways, people talk about the Imperial Republic courtyards being easy pickings for men. Here are all these women on campus. How about it's easy pickings for women? And having captivated men who they know they're going to see and can like flex a wee bit. It's getting to the point still. The point is, essentially, when you just look at the mathematics of it, that's what's being sold: an orgasm. And all the seduction, everything is leading to that type of orgasm. And the sistren selling, advertising her orgasm compared to the orgasm from another sistren. And presenting herself, dressing herself in a seductive way amidst the other seductive ways of the other sister, based upon what she's got going for herself, whatever her assets are, and everything else like that, presenting it in the optimal way for that particular demographic, that particular client base, customer base, or whatever, that has an appeal to the type of orgasms that she offers. That sounds crass, business. And it becomes to the point where that's how she values herself. Not explicitly, not totally, not exclusively. But she begins, because she gets benefit from it. She gets attention, and with that attention, she gets grades. And with those grades, she gets further job offers. With those job offers, she gets money. With that money, she gets food and shelter. That's the sequence. That's the quid pro quo. So she begins, in seeing that, she says, okay, that's how she starts to, she's conditioned, and she continues to value herself significantly, not exclusively, not completely. That's how she values the social relationships around her, the crew that she hangs around. She's with a crew of fine sisters. Similar, like that ups her state, the collective energy of the sister, and the compounded seductive influence of brethren wanting to be with them sister and wanting that type of orgasm. But that becomes how she values herself, by how much her orgasms are worth on the courtyard market, what she can get, how she can seduce other brethren and give the attention for the orgasms that she offers. And obviously that's a woeful way of valuing a woman, valuing herself. That's a woeful way for men valuing the woman, what kind of orgasm men think they can receive by having a relationship or interaction with her. But that's exactly what it is, and what's being communicated when women dress in that way of showing the sexual energy. It's not personal expression. It's not women's liberation. It's not personal liberty. It is advertising a type of orgasm. It might be designer, expensive clothing, and additionally for that type of experience of orgasm, which might actually be less intense. That's not the point. The point is recognizing how women, the evidence of how women value a woman's self and how she presents herself. If she values herself for being a family woman, and in her relationship with her parents, her relationship with siblings, and additionally, then that's how she's presenting herself. She's not presenting her sexual powers because she's not trying to get that type of attention. She's just modestly and additionally and focusing on that way she values herself with her relationships with family. Additionally, if she's religious, that's how she's presenting herself because that's what she values about herself. When she's showing her sexual prowess, she is showing that is how she significantly values herself because of the attention she gets from showing her sexual prowess. That is how that's the evidence of how she values herself. And that's no fault on her, that's no fault on anyone. It's just understanding that's how she values herself. Not the exclusive, not the total way she values herself, but it is a significant way of valuing herself because it's right there, showing it for herself. It's not a sign saying, this is how I value myself, but essentially it is. Effectively it is. So, understanding that when a brethren are looking for women, looking for partnership, and additionally, and what the men are valuing is relationship, commitment, family, loyalty, then that's what brethren are looking for in how a woman presents herself, that she values herself in that way. When a woman is presenting her sexuality, brethren are going to see that. When brethren are looking for family and honesty and loyalty, and they see a sister who's presenting her sexual wares, her sexual energy, it's attention and it's distraction. Because, come on, nature. And a brother might say, "Well, yeah, this is what I need. This is what I'm guided for. This is what I'm commanded to have." But maybe she can share this, and maybe I can teach. And he starts to think about. I'm speaking. I start to think about like how what we can arrange or whatever, so that she's, because I know she wants this too in certain ways, in some way, but this big distance, and so it becomes a distraction, because at that moment she's communicating that she's valuing herself for this thing rather than um, predominantly this other thing when she's presenting herself in that way, regardless of how attractive she is. And the bottom line of it, like the thing to think about that's very simple is this. When men are thinking about women in a sexual way and for an orgasm, it's very limited. It can be extremely convincing and intoxicating, but it's very limited. It's also very obvious. But one thing to think about that's helpful to help to have some sobriety, some focus, and a reminder of purpose is this: to think about after that orgasm, how is the woman going to speak to his son? That woman who's dressed up in this kind of way, who's doing boss talk, telling people what to do, this, that, and the other, sharing what her opinions is, and everything else like that. How is she going to talk to his son? How is she going to treat his son as she is at that moment, partying and whatever else, or being gleeful or whatever she's doing at that exact moment? How is she going to talk to his son, his 3-year-old son, his 7-year-old son? How is that woman right there at that moment, as she is flexing the short shorts and all type of thick, soft, firm thighs, quiet? She's not even boss talking. She's quiet. Still, how is she going to talk to his 3-year-old son and to his 7-year-old son after the orgasm? Because that's what happens. That's the nature of the orgasm when it's done properly. Let me tell it. How is she going to talk to his 3-year-old son? How is she going to treat his 3-year-old son? Be quiet. Shut up. Go over there. Stop bothering me. I'm not trying to deal with that. I'm watching my show right now. How is she going to talk to and how is she going to treat his 7-year-old son? I don't know about that. Don't bother me about that. What you got? What did you get? What grade did you get? You're never gonna be nothing. She looked fine though. She's not the peak of popping maybe at that point, but still near it. Intense orgasm still. But how is she How is she talking to his 3-year-old son, to his 7-year-old son? Is she patient? Is she nurturing? Is she loving? Is she forgiving? Does she know what the 3-year-old son needs before he even asks? Does she have it ready? Is the food ready? Is the place clean? Is she tending to his wounds? Is she loving and nurturing and doting and telling him stories and speaking languages and singing songs, lullabies to the 3 and 7-year-old son? Does she know the lullabies? The sister right there with the short shorts. Does she know the lullabies? Does she know how to clean? Does she know how to wash dishes? Is she comfortable around children? Is she soft and nurturing and loving and motherly? The sister with the short shorts and the strong, intense orgasm. Is she loving and nurturing without being asked, without being told? She already knows. She's been doing it. The sister right over there. Is that how she's going to treat the 3-year-old son, the 7-year-old son? How about the 3-year-old daughter? I don't care about no other woman. It's just another competition for attention. The 7-year-old daughter who sees everything and is quiet, who absorbs everything and is quiet, who is plotting everything and is quiet? Is the mother speaking lovingly and supportively and nurturingly to the 3-year-old daughter, to the 7-year-old daughter? The sister over there with the short shorts and the Pico popping. And there's a variety of those answers. Some sister, ain't no way, nah, no haps, not even, not that she is at this moment. Maybe at some point, but not right now. Some sister is like, actually, no, yeah, she is. Yeah, she's dressed like that, but still, she is. She's got younger siblings. She got cousins. She babysits. She's still in the family ways. She still values that. She's doing what she got to do at the moment because this is what the thing is. But she still knows. But it's beneficial to be mindful of that. After the orgasm, then what? How is that sister treating the son of the man? 3-year-old, 7-year-old. How is she treating the daughter at that moment as she is? And it's beneficial for brethren to make a knowledgeable decision according to that. And it's beneficial for sistren to do a self-check and say, is this how I'm presenting? Is this what I'm valuing about myself? I'm speaking the first person there. You hear me? No. What am I saying about myself and how I present myself? How am I actually valuing myself, about myself? What am I valuing about myself? What do I value about myself in presenting myself this way? Is this what I have to offer the universe? Is this what I have to offer society? Is this what I have to offer other people? Is this the best of what I have to offer? Is this the most valuable of what I have to offer? Is this the most healthy of what I have to offer? Is this the most healing of what I have to offer? So, all of this shapes our path. All of this shapes who we interact with, how we interact with, and the relationships we cultivate, the interactions, the conversations, our influences, and then our decisions, and our immersion within further cultures and gatherings and environments that further shape and influence our path. And we change. We've evolved along that path to certain degrees. We can change it up. We can do 180s. We can do 90 degrees and whatever else. And be like, no, I was tripping right there. No, I don't wear that no further. I let that go. I gave it away. I burnt it. I turned it into flags or whatever else. But this is how I am now. But just to be mindful of what we're doing and the cause and effect for others, but for ourselves too. And be honest about that for our own well-being. To recognize how we value ourselves, how we support ourselves from our value, and then how others value ourselves too in a healthy way, in the way that we truly value ourselves, not just because they got money or whatever else. So that's what we had to share, but that's what we're going to go with. A minute 20. Nice try. A minute 20 and then 49. So all that being said, and I will say this as we go back into bringing this into Rastafari, and additionally, I've given a disclaimer before about kinfolk criticizing me for just saying, oh, you're going to talk about Rastafari at the end. How about this? Understanding the audience. Most of the people that I anticipate talking to, sharing this at this point, are not Rastafari. So the part of sharing the teachings is not just a matter of just saying it and inundating it, but it's a matter of like saying something that's meaningful, that's relevant, that has some immediacy for kinfolk. Teaching about His Majesty additionally isn't necessarily always about actually saying what he says or saying his name or even proclaiming anything about beliefs or whatever else. It's simply a matter of sharing truth. And then when there's the occasion, and it's appropriate, and the occasion can be frequent, and the occasion can be occasionally. But then sharing, okay, then relating it to some of the tangible earthly experience and example of His Majesty Haile Selassie I and Her Majesty Waizara Manen, and why within Rastafari there is that reference of perfect balance. So many narratives from world civilization, from history, from the legends, focus focuses on one person, a man often, and what that man does. And when talking about that, then there's also, oh yeah, by the way, he was married. Oh, by the way, he had multiple wives. And additionally, so and that's no shade on multiple wives. That's permissible. Sometimes it's favorable. Um, Generally, what is favorable, as a general rule, is one man, one woman. But it is permissible, and given certain conditions or whatever, it's beneficial for a man to have multiple wives. Anyways, in Rastafari, we emphasize and we proclaim the notion of that experience of perfect balance, meaning a husband and wife committed to each other, yin and yang, as perfect balance, and particularly in looking at the example of His Majesty Haile Selassie I and Her Majesty Waizara Manen as a king and queen with sovereign mindset, together, working together in complementary ways. Everything that's said about His Majesty Haile Selassie I is also said about Her Majesty Waizara Manen, because that is the nature of marriage, that is the nature of the relationship between a husband and wife, that is the nature of the perfect balance. So even when kinfolk are saying Haile Selassie I, and additionally, kinfolk are essentially and effectively and absolutely saying Waizara Manen, Her Majesty Waizara Manen. Perfect balance, that mindfulness, that normalcy of healthy relationship, of committed relationship, of mutually respectful and mutually supportive relationship, working together, bringing different elements to the table, sharing in the duties and relying upon each doing their own part in filling the whole. WHOLE. Filling the hearth. How about that? Family, children, as well as kingdom, sovereignty, society. Looking at the teachings of Meng Tzu, as well as Kong Tzu and Lao Tzu, there's the example of a man cultivating a way within himself. And from cultivating a way within himself, cultivating a way within his immediate family, his wife, his children, in the household. And in cultivating a way in his family, his wife, children, and household, cultivating a way amidst the kinfolk immediately around him, family, friends, who see how he lives and are inspired and encouraged by the way he lives. And in cultivating that way amongst the immediate circle around him, cultivating a way within society as a whole, being inspired by this crew that works in this proper way and further. So that's one of the things that we recognize and that we value and that we emphasize with the example and the teachings of His Majesty Haile Selassie I and Waizara Manen. Actual life sovereigns amidst very intense, challenging conditions where there is no guarantee in the midst of it, making decisions that are noble and bold. Peace and blessings. You know it is. That we can learn from, that we can practice, that we can share in, that we can support in each other, that we are encouraged to support in each other by His Majesty Haile Selassie I and Her Majesty Waizara Manen. It's one thing to find a leader, to find a teacher, and to emulate that teacher as an individual. And it's a whole nother thing to emulate, learn from, share in the teachings and example of a married couple. healthy relationship, supportive relationship, masculine authority, feminine authority working together. There are other prophets, there are our ancestors and teachers and sages who also have healthy relationships, supportive relationships, and additionally, so that's acknowledged, and we've got to respect that too. Not just respect that too. Oh, by the way, it's proper foundation, and that actually is what is that has significant guidance for His Majesty Haile Selassie and Her Majesty Wazir Amanin. Particularly for this past century, it is beneficial to have an increasingly contemporary example to emulate, to study, at the very least to study and to discuss, to reason about, and to learn from. A contemporary example that encounters many of the challenges that we encounter today and finds solutions and furthers the notes, the journal, the civilizational journal that we are all part of and that we're all writing within. So with that being said, again, we give all thanks and praise to the Most High Elohim. Blessed love and peace in Rastafari.